discussed Absolute Batman #1 on this show. We had JD back for that episode, and that was a lot of fun. And then we followed that up with Absolute Superman, which I was about. Don loved it. And now we're following up that conversation with Absolute Wonder Woman, which begs the question, how do you take the most badass super heroine in comics and make her more badass? So, or answers the question, not begs it. Let's go around the room. We all read at least issue #1. What's your initial thoughts on this? Let's try to keep it a little spoiler free. John, you are our DC resident expert. What did you think?
Wonder Woman BO, they've given her, I like it. I like it. They've given her a
Okay.
lot more power though. And it's going to be interesting to see where they take it. But, and it kind of makes sense. They've changed her origin a bit, but I actually
A
I
lot of
like
it,
yeah, I know, but I like where this is going. I really do.
Don.
Yeah, I think that they did change the origin, but I thought that one thing that was clever about what they did is I think they maintained the essence of Diana. I
Mhm.
think that still shined through, which I liked. When as far as saying she's OP, she's badass. I'm not trying to spoil anything here, but it's like, the first time you see her, she looks like the Dark Knight Cecil Harvey from Final Fantasy IV wielding Cloud Strife's, Buster Sword. Like, out of nowhere. And then, the only complaint I have about that part is as soon as she like arrives on this battlefield, she like takes off her helmet, puts some blood on her face from the creatures that they're really trying to say that she's badass here with that. But I was like, why she gotta take the helmet off though? Like, I know what they're doing here. I get it. It's the reason why I like, people in movies and actors should wear helmets, but they don't, like Game of Thrones and shit, because they're actors and their face wants to be seen. But some of the premise I have a little bit of a problem with. Nitpicks here, there, just kind of knowing the author. I kind of looked at her past work and I was like, okay, I'm noticing a little bit of a trend here. So I wonder if this kind of shows up. And it did a little bit, not too much, but it did a little bit. So I'm okay with it. It's definitely, to me, the weaker of the three entries, I'd say, between the Absolute Batman, Superman, and now Wonder Woman. Yeah, so that's where I'll put it. It's certainly not bad, but I didn't feel this one as much as the
Huh.
Batman.
That's
That's
interesting.
That is very interesting. So, before I give my opinion, I also wanted to point out, so it's written by Kelly Thompson and it's art by Hayden Sherman. So, wanted to make sure I said that before we move any further on this. I don't know any of Thompson's other work, so I can't comment on it.
It's all female centric, I'd say. A4s, Captain Marvel, And
Well,
again, I'm not here to say any of that's bad. I'm not. Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. I mean,
I'm saying
she's definitely
she's a woman writing female superhero. It kind of makes sense.
good. Agreed.
I was actually gonna say it's funny because Absolute Batman was a real change from what we're used to with Batman, and it was like, okay, it was an interesting take, right? Like I enjoyed it. Superman for me, which is weird, I felt departed too much from the character that we know, too much of the true nature of Superman. On the other hand, I've only read a handful of Wonder Woman stories, but the ones that I've read, I felt like they kept the spirit of Diana and Wonder Woman, and it's like I felt like it was the same idea. She's this warrior princess who's an Amazonian who also has like this pure heart that people are attracted to, and she's an entity of love, and I felt like that that shined through in the story, especially with the story of her and Cersei and how she raises her and all of that.
It's a
Like
lot closer to what she is than the new 52 one was.
I didn't read any of the Wonder Woman stories in the New 52. The only New 52 stuff I read was Court of Owls because it was still the continuation of what was going on in Batman before New
Hmm.
52 launched. So it didn't it was still Batman. Anyway, so yeah, like I had to say, like, story-wise, I really enjoyed it. I liked the direction they were going. However, that being said, what did you guys think of the art in this book?
Yeah,
I Yeah, I think it's okay. With the comics that I've reviewed and read, you know, I honestly my personal preference is I like it to almost look like a cartoon, you know, like the
Mm-hmm.
comic books. Like if you saw like a DC or Marvel cartoon, you know, like I like it to look like that. But I know that there are different styles, different stylized, you know, people that really use shading to do a lot of stuff that I was like, I'd like a little bit more detail. I don't have to shade everything. But you know, this reminds me, and John, you may know the technical term, but like sometimes in anime when they do a fight scene, they like switch the animation type as they're
Oh,
doing all this
that's
fast
Sakuga.
action shit.
Mm,
Okay,
that's
it reminds
Sakuga.
me of that. It honestly, it
Okay.
reminded me of that a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Which I mean, she was fucking fighting a lot and stuff. So I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense, but yeah, that's what it reminded me of.
Look, I don't, and I'm not trying to disparage Hayden Sherman. I don't know any of her work other than this book, but I felt it was inconsistent throughout. Like some of the panels were beautiful and really well done, and some felt like they were thrown together last minute. And it was just like, I don't know how this got past the editors at DC, like where they didn't at
Yeah.
least say to the inker, punch this up a little bit, you know? And
There
it
were some
surprised me.
panels. There were some panels to hard to kind of digest with the eyes, and that's why it kind of felt
Yeah.
like that animation style to me, where they're like kind of like blurring the action a little bit to save money. You know, whatever they do, but it kind of felt like that a little bit to me. Where like some of the panels like didn't quite make sense, and it's like, yeah, I don't know why you put that in there then.
Yeah, and like I said, normally once an inker gets something like that, they're told to like, fix the little flubs and punch it up a little bit. And I feel like they didn't do that in this book, and it was like, why? You know? So I don't know. What did you think, John, of the art?
I mean, they are going the art styles that they're using in these new books is they're branching out, and it's interesting. I use the word interesting too much. I like it. I mean, it's not. It's different, and it's still very expressive and very descriptive of the action that's going on. And at no point does it take you out of the story where you're like, oh, ooh, that looks bad. So
No,
that means I find it's great, you know.
no, I wouldn't say it takes you out of the story. I thought the sword was
That's
ridiculous,
what I'm
but
saying. It doesn't do that at any point, which means that it's well worth it.
I do think the sword is ridiculous. I thought Cloud's sword in Final Fantasy VII was ridiculous as well.
No, Buster swords are cool, and you take that back.
No, no, no. And I'm sorry.
Giant swords are awesome.
Look, and hold on,
Guts
hold on,
disagrees with you.
hold on. And Rich, if you're watching, because I know you sometimes do, yes, even the Wailing Blade sword is ridiculous. I'm sorry. Those giant
Ah!
swords are
Wailing Blade.
ridiculous. They really are. And it was just like, okay. But
Don't
again,
ever watch Naruto, Dave. The Seven Sword of the Mist will probably have you feeling some sort of way.
and I get it, and I get what you're saying, John. They are branching out. They're doing some different stuff. I thought it was weird. Like again, it's not bad, and it's not so bad that it takes you out. It just felt inconsistent. Like there's some of the panels I'm looking like, wow, that's really beautiful and really well done. And then I see another panel, I'm like, I feel that looks like, oh, I need to get something here in like 5 minutes scribbled something, and it was just like, you know, it's I guess it's frustrating when you see an artist like this who is really good and has some really great panels, but the whole book isn't that way, you know. So I guess that's my only real critique of this book, you know.
See, I don't know. The art is very detailed, and I think it's damn good, really.
What did you think of her look in this? It's kind of Wonder Woman and thrown in like she's got all these like blood tattoos, I guess, red tattoos all over her body, and she's got the orange and black tiger stripe pants on. It was just like,
When
you
you're when
know,
you're when you're okay, we're into spoilers a bit.
yeah,
When
we're in
you're
spoilers.
when you're brought up by Cersei in hell, could have been worse.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's
and and if you get to the third issue, it does get worse. But I've read the three by the way.
oh, okay. All right. I currently don't have Kindle on my iPad, so I was going to buy the other issues and read them, but I didn't get that far. So yeah, what did you think of the outfit, Don? Gonna have your wife dress up like that tonight?
Yeah, that would be great. No, I thought it deviated too much from the actual Wonder Woman. I mean, I get it. She's brought up in hell by Cersei, which that was actually kind of amusing. I don't get the whole like Apollo, oh, don't say Amazon or we'll slap you around or whatever. Like I don't get that. I'm gonna need more context because I'm just not there yet with their setup of this story.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that's what I'm wondering too. Again, that's why I wanted to read a couple more because I feel like there's something going on with the Amazons that they're keeping from Diana, and because she says she's the last of the Amazons, I have a feeling, and John, don't spoil it for us because I do plan to keep reading that they're not actually dead, like, and they're trying to keep her from the Amazons. But I kind of felt like once she figured out the word Amazon, like all of a sudden she was going to be imbued with like her powers, that we're used to from the comics. But no, she just said the word. I'm like, oh, okay. So like, what was they made such a big deal about it early in the story, and then all of a sudden it was like, I'm an Amazon, okay, and
well, the
Cersei still
big
couldn't say
deal.
it.
Well, no, she did say it, right? Didn't Cersei say it?
It's still scribbled out when she says it, though.
Either way, though, I think the big deal is though, like Cersei's gonna go bye bye, isn't she? Like now that she said that, like she was told, don't fucking say this word. Like that I don't know. That's the impression I got. Maybe I need to read through it again, but I got the impression that with Cersei bringing up the whole Amazon thing, her and Diana were gonna get separated in some way, and she's kind of on her own at that point.
John's got a look on his face like, yeah, I know, and I'm not going to tell you.
I like the storyline. Like Don said that he thinks this is the weakest entry. I actually think that the Batman one was kind of the weakest entry.
I
See,
think
now
I
that's
need
funny.
more context.
I think Batman was the strongest. Wonder Woman is like up there with it, but I liked
And
Batman
Superman's the
better.
weakest. Got a
It's the
perfect
weakest.
triumvirate here.
Yeah,
There you
buddy.
go.
Yeah. So
Uh,
a little
but
something for
there's,
everyone.
yeah, I mean, there's definitely good writing in here for me. Like I like you're talking about Cersei. Like when Apollo dropped the baby off to Cersei, Cersei's like, you know what? They're just
I'm
gonna come at,
Cersei. Have you seen me?
yeah, they're just gonna come after you anyway. So let me just
Yeah.
set you down
But
and let these like demons come gobble you up. But they couldn't.
you know
Like
what? It was funny because that bothered me at first, but then when I realized where they were going with that,
yeah.
where, she becomes Diana's mother and is raising her, and like,
You see the progression of their living quarters.
yes, you see that was beautiful. That was so well
Yeah.
done. Like the progression of a mother's love for a child that wasn't even her own child, but she becomes her mother. Like, yeah, like that's that's your story. That's your hook right there. So yeah, that, like I said, the story is really well told in this issue, and it really hooks you and like gets you to want to read more. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess there's just little things that bug me, and I don't even know if they should. Like her steed is like a skeleton horse. I'm like, oh, Ghost Rider. The old Ghost Rider wants his
I
horse back. I know that's dumb, but
Well, it's
I
an
don't know.
interesting choice too because modern Wonder Woman can fly, right?
Yeah,
Like that's one of her powers, but this Wonder Woman can't fly. And instead of having a regular Pegasus, since she's from hell, she has a skeleton Pegasus. It's like I get it. It's a little it's the it's how do you make Wonder Woman more badass? Like that was the question she tried to answer in this comic, and I think she did it.
Yeah. The amount of power she has now is like, yeah, she's always kind of been a kind of a rival. She could rival Superman in certain ways,
Yes.
but she could kick his ass all well. See, she could kick normal Superman's ass, but the new one, I'm not so sure because we don't know what his weaknesses are anymore.
So that's an interesting point too, because like not only I mean they didn't in the first issue. Maybe this is expanded more in the other issues, but they don't really show her as super strong as they haven't as you normally see Wonder Woman. But she now has magic, and she's very powerful with the magic because she was raised by Cersei, who taught her all of this. So it's like, yeah. So if she's also strong on top of that, like, yeah, she's the most powerful character so far in this universe, in this version of DC universe. She's more powerful than Superman. That's without a doubt. Because we don't even know if our new Superman in the Absolutes is vulnerable to magic, like he is in the regular DC universe. So if he
Yeah.
is, she could easily beat him, you know? So food for thought, people. Food for thought. Well, we know John continued on reading. Don, are you going to continue with this series?
I don't know. Are we going to talk about it some more? Like,
I don't know. Maybe I'll do a review on it at some point on the channel if I don't have something to read. Maybe I'll continue on with issue 2. I do have a couple things to read. I got Space Ghost from David Pepos that I'm going to try to do for this week. So
you know
yeah.
what would make me read it, Dave? Because I actually do have access to the next 3 issues, so up to issue number 4.
Uh-huh.
If DC wants me to review it, I would absolutely continue on and then review number 5. So, at Superhero Speak, I don't know, whatever your email is there, Dave, or get a hold of Dave
Don.
Markowski.
Well, I'm pretty sure you've got Don at Superhero Speak set up. So, and it forwards to your
Okay.
your Hotmail. So there you go. Like if you want Don to review your book, you can also send it to reviews@superheroespeak.com, and I will forward that on
There you go.
to Don as well. So if anyone at DC proper is watching right now, Don wants to review your books and ruin your day.
I'll keep reading them. I'm interested now. Like, this has been a while since I've been really interested in any kind of comic book, and these are kind of spurring me on a bit.
I agree. I think it's funny because when I mean, come on, DC has rebooted their universes many times, and like the New 52 was a flop because they just like totally threw out anything you liked about the character, but yet still tried to tell the same story in the modern world, and it just didn't work. Especially Superman was terrible. He was in blue jeans and Doc Martens and like breaking guys' legs. It was like, that's not Superman. Like what am I reading here? This, they launched it as like the Ultimate Universe kind of launched with Marvel, where we're doing this in parallel. We're keeping the regular DC stuff going, but here's a new universe, new origins, and like again, Batman and Wonder Woman, they definitely kept the spirit of the characters. I feel like, or at least they told him new and interesting ways. Superman, I don't know. I'm still, maybe I'll read issue 2 and see if it gets any better. But yeah, so like I think it's you're right, John. Like this is something new and different that is kind of getting me excited about comics again, especially DC comics. I haven't been excited about DC comics in a long time.
And you're right; they have managed to keep the spirit of all of them, which is actually pretty good. It means that somebody's steering the ship, because like all 3 of them, they still feel like it's them, even if their power set has changed and their circumstances have changed. Superman's still trying to help people. Wonder Woman is still a warrior and a scholar, and Batman is still trying to bring justice. So.
And I haven't looked at the other because they're the only 3 titles I see under Absolute right now. I assume this is leading to Absolute Justice League at some point.
I think it was in issue number 1 of Wonder Woman where she said other heroes are coming.
I'm pretty sure they're slated for Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Now, that would be interesting to see how they redo his story.
Well, it's funny because here's the thing. I think Green Lantern and Flash, you can easily redo their stories because multiple characters have been Flash and Green Lantern. So we've had multiple origins already for them. So people are more willing to be like, oh, here's a new take on Hal Jordan. And oh, here's a new take on Barry, or not Barry, Wally, whichever one they decide to use. I'm sure it'll be Barry. He's the most popular. But like, yeah, so that I think is, you're quickly going to accept faster than Wonder Woman, who's been consistent, Diana the whole time. Clark and Superman have been the same the whole time, and Batman and Bruce Wayne have been the same the whole time. So I mean, heck, they've tried to replace them in the comics, and it's never worked. But I don't think they've ever tried to replace Wonder Woman. I could be wrong on that one, but like, they broke Batman's back, and they gave us Azrael, and everyone was like, nah,
Yeah.
that doesn't work for me.
Angry Batman.
Angry Batman.
I don't like pointy armor Batman.
Yeah, exactly.
even when they like, and granted, there's a fun twist when they had the Batman was lost in time storyline. So Dick takes over as Batman, and he's got Damian as Robin, and like there's a fun dichotomy where now Batman's the more upbeat one, and Robin's the more like justice. We've got to do this and like kill them and all this stuff. And like so you've got Dick trying to keep Damian in line. So like that was a fun take on it, but it didn't last. Like people still wanted Bruce to come back and be Batman, you know. So and then of course we had the death of Superman. We got 4 weird versions. I don't think they ever planned to replace him with any of them, but I felt like that's what they were trying to do at one point.
Well, a couple of them were straight evil.
The Eradicator, yeah, and the Cyborg were both so. And then Steel, he did continue on, and then
Yeah, Steel was like the de facto replacement.
yeah, and then you had the clone that was Superboy. You know, he was a new take basically on Superboy, which I don't know.
Only Steel got his own movie.
No, God. Yeah.
Way before he should have. Like that was the weirdest choice of all the like properties.
We've
And
hardly seen Martian Manhunter in a movie, but got a whole
I
one for
feel
Steel.
like I feel like that was one of the things where it was like DC needed a couple of bucks. I don't remember who made it because it's not a Warner Brothers movie. It's another company made it. It's probably a subsidiary of Warner Brothers, but still, it was like what character don't we care about? Oh, Steel, yeah, here you can have Steel. Make a Steel movie, you know. And
Yeah, no, that was back in the day when like Shaquille O'Neal was like the greatest thing since sliced bread, and he's a big Superman guy, and he kind of made that happen. That's
yeah,
how that came.
don't you make fun of the Shaq.
I know, but I'm just saying that's like if the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool
Did
thing
I
had gone wrong. That's what happened there.
did I ever tell you the story, Don? I told it on the podcast many years ago. We went to see Karen and I went to see Music Man on Broadway to see Jackman in the Music
Yeah.
Man. Like great night. And when we were walking back to our hotel after the seeing the musical, Shaq was just standing in front of a hotel in New York talking to a bunch of kids and just like being friendly and having a good time with them. And I'm like, that's why I like the guy. Like
Yeah, no, he's a
tell,
good dude.
yeah,
He's a
you
good
can tell
dude.
he's a genuine guy. So and you know, you gotta get your shakaroni at Papa John's. Anyway, back to Wonder Woman. So yeah, I don't have much more to say. Like I said, I really enjoy the story. It's really well written. Like I said, the art is really good. Just a little bit of I felt was a little inconsistent, but I'm sure that'll also get better over time. We'll see. And yeah. So what do you have anything else you want to add about this, or do you want to like wrap this up and give it a rating? All right,
Yeah.
John, you can go first.
I recommend this. Rating a comic seems weird to me for some reason right now, but I don't know. I give it an 8 or 8.5. I'm really liking where it's going, but that's because I'm already on issue 3. So, but I'm liking where it's going.
All right, Donnie boy.
I mean, I gotta appreciate the way they show Wonder Woman fighting. It's fervent as a flame, but there are some things about it that I'm like, I'm not quite used to yet. Maybe I need more context. So for me, I'm landing at 7 capes out of 10. Overall quality just hasn't quite gripped me. So 7 out of 10 capes here.
All right, I think I'm right in the middle of the two of you, so I will say 7.5 out of 10 capes. The story is really good. I didn't like it as much as the Batman book, but I still like it better than Superman. And I will continue to read this one. So yeah, I guess we're all recommending it too. Like go check it out and let us know what you think of the book in the comments down below. We would really appreciate it. Thanks for watching this clip from the Superhero Speak podcast. And don't forget to watch us live every Sunday night right here on this channel.
While you're here, hit the subscribe button and click the bell for notifications so you won't miss out on any of our great upcoming content.
Speaking of content, don't forget to check out our website, superheroespeak.com, where you can find the podcast, links to our social media, merch, comic reviews, and so much more. That's superheroespeak.com.
Thanks for watching, and don't let your cape be caught in the door. See you next time.